to be like your spine, like a human spinal cord, from where different skills, motor skills come from, where brain function comes from. I mean, your spine basically operates basically everything about your body. So when your spine is broken, you cannot walk. You can get paralyzed. Basically, that's what it is. This team has no spine. And I was wondering why we go in to play a trial game with arguably the best team in the world, Brazil. And Otto Addo presents a bunch of players we all know haven't been that great for a while. So did he really respect the Brazilians in terms of, the kind of team he's going to present before them, and also knowing what kinds of systems he wants to experiment with and the players he is going to be using going forward? What was the idea about that kind of team that he presented? That is one question I've been asking. You see, we go in and we lost. We come in second half, we bring, a few players in here where we have Inaki Williams and so on and so forth coming in. And you ask yourself, what is our first team? Which players are going to be representing Ghana when we go to Brazil? Are they going to be our first team, or are we expecting something different? These are questions that I personally was asking. Now we go into this Nicaragua game. We all were expecting, I know you were expecting too, that we go in there, we present our best, and then we beat them convincingly. Well, it didn't happen. We pulled out just one goal. However, the performance, in my opinion, was very bad. It was so bad that I felt like, not watching the game anymore, because I'm like, we are going into a World Cup in November, and we play like this, with one more trial game to go before the World Cup, and we are still expecting certain players to come in. How is this team going to gel? Because from the game, there was absolutely no cohesion. I didn't see anything like a tactical plan. It was like everybody was doing whatever they want, you see. And we have players who have come in, who have switched nationality, who we know, we've seen play abroad. And you ask yourself, if these players have come into play and tactically we are this bankrupt, then what's the point of coming into this team at all? Most of you watch the European League. Some of us even watch the lower leagues. And we see certain players who have been called up. We're all happy. And now you begin to compare certain players who have always been in the team, who have served us well, but are not pulling their weight like they used to. And you have players who have been called in, and yet these players who have served us well are still not pulling their weight. And the players who have come in are benched. Then it's a bit baffling, because I'm like, what's the point? These players came to play. We want to see them. Ghanaians are passionate for a reason. And one thing I want us to also note is, nowadays, there are educated spectators. And what I mean is, I don't mean classroom education. There are people who have become students of the game because they watch the game and they see the nitty-gritty in it and they study it. So when they're watching with educated eyes. The passion in them is what makes them overly critical of certain players. But people are not just watching the game for watching sake. People are watching because they've watched for a while and they have studied the game. And so, although they are not called coaches, or although they don't have badges to prove that they're coaches, they still have technical eyes. You see, so I begin to wonder why the administrators and the handlers are pulling wool over our eyes. Like, are they saying we don't know what is going on? Or are they saying we don't know the game that much to be able to be critical of what is going on in the team? You see, these are some questions that I begin to ask. And another thing before I hang up, you see, there has been problems when it comes to Ghana football. And those problems are not going to change, because if they would have changed, they would have changed a long time ago.
Yeah.
about favoritism, corruption. These are the two things that are killing us. Dishonesty, it's killing us because those invisible hands are still there pulling the strings. And they're expecting Ghanaians to shut up and not say anything. Unfortunately, most people are in I'll say they're swimming in the same pool with these people. So when others from outside come in to critique them, then they become, the enemies. I heard something today and it broke my heart about something about one key player in the Black Stars. And whatever happened, I wouldn't be the one to break it, but maybe down the line, someone else might also hear it. And it was very, very, very bad, for such a thing to happen at such a time when we are preparing for the World Cup. Now, talking about preparation, we are not prepared. Because if we were prepared, as others are, let's not say that because these players are new, they don't know each other, or they won't have that cohesion, or they won't know how to play with each other. So, we should hold on. We are going to the World Cup. The World Cup is not a place for you to go and joke. The World Cup is not a place for you to go and learn how to play football. You are coming into the national team as a seasoned player. In the national team, you don't come to learn. Because if you want to learn, you would have learned with your home club before you come to the national team. So it is not a place to come and study. It is a place where handlers begin to tweak the team, because when you are calling players down, you know what you are requiring for them. You know exactly the qualities they have. So when you bring those players in, all you have to do is to lay down your plan and make them execute it. It's not where you have to come and learn. Lastly, the progression of our players is wrong. Progression, how we transition players from the youth team, or how we integrate players into the senior team is wrong. And I'm talking specifically about the Cremonese kid. You see, this boy has so much promise. We have to nurture his game. You don't just throw him into the deep end. He is a young boy that is Afenajan. He's a young boy coming up. He needs that encouragement. He needs a bunch of arms around him to nurture his career. If I had a team, he would be playing in my maybe under 20 or under 23 or something. But throwing him right there like that, it's not right. You see, so going forward, I personally, I'm not going to have my hopes up. If we go to the World Cup in Qatar and we do well, thank God. I'm not going to be expecting anything spectacular. But when we get there and what happens, we just take it as it comes. Then during the games, we will all have to take stock of what we are seeing and then project into the future. Knowing the kinds of players we have, we project into the future and make sure that this team would have its core as we go forward in games to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.